Welcome back to the Cheap Heat Productions podcast. Okay, welcome back to the show. And today I have a man that is well versed in the movie and TV industry. I could list off all his films and TV shows, but we'd probably take up the whole podcast talking about that. But you'll probably know him best from Breaking Bad and Friends. Mr. Larry Hankin, how are you doing today, man?
So far, so good. You know, I'm sequestered. I'm not wearing a mask, so it's cool.
Yeah. How is things?
Fine. I'm doing fine.
Yeah. How is things where you are with the mask situation and all that over there in LA at the moment?
Well, you know, because I have gray hair, it impinges upon me a little more than maybe. Well, I don't know now. You know, it's hitting everybody. I live near the ocean here, near the beach. So I ride my bike, and riding the bike is the best you can do outside because you're not near anybody, so you don't have to wear a mask. And I just weave in and out and stay. And then I'll take a walk every now and again. But I'm near the beach, so we get a lot of interlopers. I grew up on the beach. It was foreigners and summer trash, we used to call them. You know, the people who'd come in on Saturday and Sunday. And they would just fill up, you know, this little town, and then they would disappear. So it's good for the merchants. So you don't know who's who. Are they? The regulars around here are fine. You know, like on a Tuesday or a Monday, everything's cool. You know, and there's not many people. And then on the weekends, wow! And you don't know. It's a lot of guesswork. It's a lot of guesswork. So I just ride my bike and I come home, and when you go out with friends, you know, you have to say, are you vaccinated? Are we going to an outdoor place or an indoor place? You know, you have to find out a lot of different facts. Now it's part of, that's the new normal. But from here on in, folks, every day is going to be a new normal. New normal is the new normal. So it changes, and now with the the weather, the global warming, it's really hitting around here. I don't know how it is in Ireland, but in the United States and the rest of the world, it's getting really hairy. So you know, I was talking to a friend on the phone the other day, on an actual phone. I said, you know, he said, well, how you doing? And I said, I didn't plan on it being like this now. You know, that's like 10 years ago. You know, it's going to be cool. It's going to get better. It's going to get better. And so, yeah, that's a loaded question you just asked. You know, how are things where you are?
Yeah,
things are great. The things are great. Things are okay. Yeah, that's really terrific.
I was telling you about 5 minutes before I came on there. A guy I was talking to on this podcast. He lives out in LA. He directed the first ever movie for WWE Studios. Mr. Dan Madigan sent me a question, and he said, "Ask him about Solly's Diner." And I said, "Well,
oh, nice."
Yeah,
Dan.
Dan Madigan.
Dan, thank you, Dan.
Yeah. And I said, Dan, I've never seen that, but you know what? I'm going to ask him anyway.
Yeah, that's the first film that I ever made myself.
Hmm.
Official film that I ever made. I mean, when I was a kid, when I was 15, got a little plastic stuff, and I was little reel-to-reel plastic things with no, not even Super 8, just 8 millimeter, little Charlie Chaplin films. And so Sally's Diner was my nod to all that childhood stuff. I was making some money as an actor, so I thought, what could I do? Oh, yeah, so I was making a lot of money as an actor, and I thought I could waste this money on parties and stuff, or I
Yeah.
could do something for me that might last. I didn't know, and so just when I got this load of money, I think it was about $20,000. No, $10,000.
Hmm.
Way back when I was starting, that was in
1979.
1979. That was like a lot of money, and I was full of beans. And I go, okay. And a friend's wife called me. No, I was acting with her. She was in my acting company. And she said, hey, my husband is well, he wants to be a cinematographer. He's a camera operator. And he needs a film with his credit as a cinematographer. Larry, why don't you write a film and he can be the cinematographer? He gets his credit, and you get a film that you wrote and you're in.
Hmm.
Thank goodness for Anna Mathias was the one who, and I thought it was a joke. I didn't even listen to her. I brushed it off. And then I got this money, and I go, ooh, what Anna was talking about, I could do that. So I called her husband, Harry, and I said, hey, do you want to make a movie? And he goes, yeah, I need a credit. And I go, yeah, I talked to your wife. Okay, let's do it. And so I wrote 20 pages. I was in the committee. So, I mean, I was in comedy and I was acting and improvising. So,
Yeah.
it wasn't like a stretch. I was being funny out of my own head on the stage. So I wrote it. He said, cut it in half, just like that. 20 pages of my sweat and blood I put on a page. Yeah, it's good. Cut it in half. It's too long. So 10 minutes. So I cut it down to 10 minutes. Took me a long time. I mean, it's easy to say, cut it. That's what, 3 seconds? Cut it down.
Yeah.
But it took me a couple of weeks to do that. It's not easy. Writing a screenplay, even if it's short, is not easy. So I did that, and then we shot it, and it was a big adventure. 3-day shoot. In a restaurant, a little diner, Sally's Diner. It was
Hmm.
Sally was the name of the guy who owned the diner, so I named it Sally's Diner. And yeah, we shot it. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of hard work. More hard work than I'd ever done. I didn't know about films. I thought, well, little plastic reels, to 15 years old. I thought it was going
Yeah.
to be like that. I mean, I was totally naive. I was an improviser. You
Yeah.
don't do anything all day. You just get up on the stage and somebody from the audience shouts something and you do it. You don't even have to do homework. You just live a life and you're fine.
Yeah.
So so that taught me a lesson, which I, learned forever. Whoa, I gotta shut this off. This is There you go. No, stop. Stop. I shut it off. Now it's gonna just ring until it goes on.
Okay.
Sorry. I
Yeah.
didn't. Oh, it's
Cool.
spam. It turned out to be spam.
Yeah. It could be
So
spam. It could be spam, or it could be a big role that you're just after turning down.
no, it was spam. It said finally. Well, no, it didn't say. You know what it said? It said Trinidad.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, that's bull.
Trinidad.
That's
I
that's
don't know any
that's
movie companies in Trinidad.
that's bullshit. I think is what they call that.
Yeah, exactly. So
Uh,
anyway, we're talking about Sally's Diner, but yeah, it was, and I got an Academy Award nomination for it, which blew my mind because, and that's why I was so, thanks for mentioning it,
yeah.
because that was the first. I never thought about that at all. I was just doing it because Anna said, hey, let's do it, and her husband needed a film. that's what we were doing. We were doing it for Harry, you know, and I wanted to just do a film, and I had the money, and I didn't know how to make a film, but Harry did. You know, I mean, he was a professional. He was a camera operator. So then he said, well, who are we going to get directed? Because I didn't know anybody, you know, I was just an improviser. You get up on the stage, you improvise, and then you go home and you forget about it until you have to get on there again. So I didn't know anything. And he said, well, you direct. And he said, and I said, I can't, I don't know how to direct. I don't know. I don't even know how to make a film. Nevertheless, direct. And he said, I'll help you. And I thought that was really great. And that's a trap. So anybody who's going to make a film, I just want, when somebody says, I'll help you, as opposed to hiring them to do a job. Say, no, I'll help you. Whoa, look out, man. That's a trap, you know, because here's the trap. It sounded great. And he did help me. He did help me. But when it came to directing, he was directing so that he could get a reel out of it, not a story out of it. And then when it came to editing, I didn't know how to edit. So he said, I'll help you. And I go, great. So don't edit with your cinematographer. He's editing for his reel, and I was editing for a story. And we had fights you can't believe. Shouting fights. No, we're gonna do it. I was and threatening. I'm gonna burn the film. I'm gonna burn the master. I got the key to the editing room. I'm going to get in there at midnight and burn it. It was just, you know, arguing about this funny film that we made. But it got a nomination. And he insisted. I didn't want to enter it because I didn't think it was good enough. But he did. But when all is said and done, everybody that said they wanted to help and this and all the argument, I'm glad I was wrong. I'm glad it was made. It's great. It's still out there. I'm showing it to somebody tomorrow. You know, they want to say, "Oh, you made a film. It's Academy Award. Let's see it," because they want to see my writing.
Is it available online?
I think so. It's on the internet. It's all over. Just if you Google Sally's Diner, I think you'll get it. But if you know. I got to advertise. I don't advertise. It's on my website. And my website is thereallarryhankin.com. I never mentioned that. Thereallarryhankin.com. A lot of my film shorts now are on there. And but it's all over the internet. Sally's Diner.
Yeah.
It's funny. You'll like it. You'll like it.
Good. One thing people obviously wanted to ask me to ask you is about Friends and how you came to portray the character in Friends. I'm sure you've never been asked this question before.
Well, it's I've always been, you know, there's 2 or 3, Breaking Bad, Friends, Seinfeld. The thing about talking about Friends is I didn't have a good time there. It wasn't a happy time. I loved the character. The character I was doing was written. I was doing just what was on the page, and I'm very famous for that role, but I got to give the writers their due. I just did what was written, and I did what I thought the character, his intent was. You know, the backstory, what I could come up, what the actor comes up with from the writing. And it's, you know, went all over the world, Friends, and so did Mr. Heckles. But I loved doing the part. I loved, because he was passive aggressive, and I grew up in a household of passive aggressive parents. There was no fighting. There was no verbal, oral, outward fighting. It was just all in. They held it in, and it just like action. So I had something to draw on, and I loved doing, because he was either totally, you know, or he was very determined, but, you know, he wanted to punch Costanza. Yeah. I don't want to hear anything about dried fruit. No, I don't want to hear about dried fruit. So I like doing the character. That's what's fun about acting. It's all as you say, all the bullshit you have to go through, the auditions, the callbacks, the memorization, the rehearsals, the people you have to deal with getting through, the nice, and then finally you get in front of a camera and the guy says, okay, action. And boom, all of a sudden it's happy time and you forget all that stuff. You just, wow, man. And Heckles, and I guess the audience got that too, because I was having fun doing Mr. Heckles, and I guess it registered.
Yeah.
But when the camera was off and we were just rehearsing, no, it was very tense. I was very tense the whole time. I don't schmooze well. I don't have any schmooze material. I don't know what it is. I think maybe, you know what it is really deep down? I only care about me. I think, if we're not talking about me, I have no interest in you.
Yeah, you have to look after yourself.
You have to look after yourself. I guess, and sometimes it unnerves people. Now, I mean, that was way back in the day, so I've grown up. I don't do it as much.
Yeah, since I came home from work today, I've been home 3 hours now, and my girlfriend always would watch Friends on repeat 24/7, 365 if it's on. And since I've been home, there's been 6 episodes in a row on Comedy Central over here. It's still on. When I came upstairs, it was still on. It's just always on. It's crazy. It's like,
was she there, or she just leaves it on and leaves the room, or she's watching?
No, she'd leave it on kind of in the background, and
wow. Well, that's okay. I can, because I do that with the TV. I'll put it on, and then I'll just look every once in a while. Because mainly it's news or Nova. That's all. I actually don't watch TV. I really should. I watch a movie every once in a while, but I just, it's not interesting to me anymore. I either go, why didn't I get that role, is all I register, or I can do it better than that guy. Or it's pretty boring. Let me see what else is. I don't register like a real audience. I register like either a professional actor or it's not for me. It's not my sense of humor. That's my go-to. Well, it's probably because I'm sitting and other people laugh and I don't laugh, and I figure, well, it's me. It's it is funny. They're laughing. Obviously, it's funny because it's on TV, so it's got to be funny. If it's on TV, it's got to be funny. But it's not my humor. It's okay. So as opposed to get off. Let's turn the. No.
You find yourself maybe being a critique.
Well, I'm very opinionated, and I have no sense of humor. I'm one of the funniest people I know, and I have no sense of humor. In that I laugh at weird things that other people are not laughing at, or it's just not my sense of humor. I don't get it. But I think I say that because I read a lot about the biographies of funny people like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton, or the modern people. They don't write their biographies too much. The Woody Allen biography. I want to see how they think, how to get to where their humor is and what they're looking at. But what I read in all the biographies, especially Charlie Chaplin, who's probably one of the funniest guys on the planet, ever, especially in film, I guess. They in the biography it says they don't have a sense of humor. Like, I mean, they'll laugh at their own jokes or laugh at something that's funny, but I guess they don't have a sense of humor about themselves. That's it. In other words, they don't like to be the butt of humor. Like pranks, I hate pranks on myself. Oh man, and everybody laughs, and it just gets me. I get mad because I didn't see it coming.
Yeah,
I'm mad at myself. Oh man, it was so obvious. It was a setup, man. I fell for it. Damn it.
Yeah, so my wife is like massively into Friends, but like I tell you the truth, I'm not really too into that show at all.
No, I
You know?
never watched it. I mean, they're good at what they do. The guy who played Chandler was
Mm.
good at what he did, as were they all. But he was the best. But the best actress is the ditzy one. Uh, I don't know their names, but
Phoebe, is
the
it?
blonde one, Phoebe.
Yeah.
She is a funny person and a funny actress, and she's a good actress. I watched her because I learned from her. Her line readings were just,
Spot
I
on.
mean, nothing but really funny. I mean, she went under, she
Hmm.
just, her technique. I mean, to see, that's what I watch for.
Yeah.
Uh, the good, funny people I learn. That's what I
Mm.
want to do. Somebody said something really interesting about learning. They said, I love to learn. I just don't like to be taught. And man, that just hit me right
Yeah.
square. That's me. I mean, if you try to teach me something, I may not show it, but I'm not listening. I
Mm.
won't. I won't listen. And then after you leave, I'll try to remember what you said, or I'll try to repeat, do it.
Yeah.
But while it's happening, well, it's because my father, man, he was just a martinet. Learn this or die. You know, so I just the reverberation
Yeah.
still. I try to get rid of it,
Yeah.
but
So when
friends,
you're, yeah, yeah, when you're looking at, say, then Breaking Bad as opposed to Friends, do you,
nice,
do do
nice.
you do you look at that in a more
Oh yeah,
cinematic sense, like, because that's it's still, to me, I think
in a
it's the
what kind
best
of sense?
in a kind of cinematic sense and storytelling and stuff like that. Like Friends
No,
is more of
I
a,
learn. I mean, I watch if I'm watching something,
mhm,
anything. If I'm watching you, the
yeah,
only reason I'm watching you 9 times out of 10 is because I'm learning something. It's
mhm,
because you're doing something that I want to get, absorb somehow, yeah, even when I'm just an audience, like sometimes I'll lose myself in an Apatow movie. But again, no, it's Apatow, and I know he knows how to make funny films, and I'm laser beamed on that. So even when I'm an audience, and I'm just laughing, and I'm really there. I'm watching what he's doing, where the camera is. I'm watching what the arc of the scene is, the arc of the movie. He's an expert. I mean, his writing, his construction of humor is amazing. It really is. So that's where I go, and that's where my heart is. The process of humor, and you can't explain it. There's an old saying that there's one thing that can't be taught about humor. You can't teach timing,
mhm,
and all the funny people have timing. Phoebe has timing. Apatow has timing. In his films are all that timing is perfect. John Hughes, she's having a baby. John Hughes, I don't know. Yeah, funny, but he makes funny films. I've made two of Home Alone.
mhm,
Funny film, man.
yeah,
John Hughes. But and that's what I was trying to do, even when I was doing Sally's Diner. That's in the back of my mind. I was trying to construct it in such a way, and of course Harry, the fights in the editing room. He was editing for his reel, and I was editing for the story. But I was also editing for comic timing, which he didn't care about. He just
mhm.
wanted a nice.
Something that looked
Oh,
nice.
yeah, yeah. So it's always been there. Even when I was a kid, I was a funny kid in kindergarten.
Mhm,
I think I was the butt of the joke in kindergarten, but they laughed, and it was about me. So,
yeah,
but maybe that's where the. Well, anyway, so yeah, Breaking Bad, I learned from.
mhm,
I learned from the writing, even when it's serious. I mean, still, writing is writing. Good writing is good writing, and the acting, and the direction of the acting, and then where the camera is. When I did Breaking Bad, here's how deep into it I got. That I always get. When I was on doing the movie, when I was doing, I did two Breaking Bads, and then I did El Camino, the Breaking
yeah,
Bad movie. So in the 2 TV series, I honed in on Bryan Cranston. And all my scenes were with Bryan Cranston, so I lucked out. But I paid attention to Bryan Cranston all the time. Even when I was acting with him in the scene, I'd be paying attention more to him than to what I was doing, which I think is kind of a blessing because it relaxed me. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing, keying off him. And I was talking to him and, trying to get good information and stuff. And I just concentrated on Brian, not me. And I think my acting showed it. I was a good actor in that. But it was because of Brian. And when I was doing the movie, I switched. Well, Bryan Cranston wasn't there, so I switched to Vince Gilligan, and Vince noticed that I was paying attention to a lot more than the acting. I mean, I would be asking questions of the cinematographer. I was going over to the camera operator. I was trying to see, kind of look in the camera, to see what he was actually, the frame was. I would ask Vince questions. And finally he said, he called me over and he said, you want to see my, the book of the drawings of the storyboard.
Yes.
You want to see my storyboard book? That's what he called me over. He said, "Hey, Larry, what? You want to see my storyboard?" I mean, he saw I was paying attention to the making of it. So he called over his assistant and he said, "Show Larry the storyboard." And she gave me a loose leaf binder that was about that thick. And I opened it up, and there was all his shots. They were drawn on the top of the page, exquisitely drawn. Very diagram. And then all where the cameras were going to be, and then the angles, and then notes underneath. I mean, it was like the Codex of Michelangelo. It was amazing. I thought, this guy's a genius. I mean, just how it was laid out. If you didn't know who it was, you just whoever did this, man. Going through it, it was just it blew my mind because it was just too much information for me. But that's what I do when I'm on the set. The same thing with Escape from Alcatraz. Don Siegel. I was hanging out with Clint Eastwood because it's Clint Eastwood, and all my scenes were with him. But really, I was also bothering the heck out of Don Siegel. I was following him around like a little puppy. And that was my first big film, and I was really young. So I was still like, wow, this is amazing. It was my first big film. It was awe-inspiring. But he too saw, and he called me over and he said, "Hey, you want to look through the camera?" Or he would open up the directing to me.
He's seen an interest.
Yeah, he saw my interest. So that's kind of what Friends and Breaking Bad and Seinfeld. Even Larry David noticed it on the set of Seinfeld. Yeah. He would talk to me and say, "I know what you're doing. What am I doing? You're trying to do nothing." That's right. I'm trying to do nothing. How did you know that? It's just,
So
good directors are good directors too.
You've been fortunate enough then to learn a lot of things from a lot of great people in the industry. That'd be fair to say.
Well, I'm fortunate that they saw my interest. I was interested whether they saw it or not. But I'm fortunate that even John Huston, the great John Huston, I worked with John Huston. I mean, these things get me excited, man. And so I was up for it. I mean, they said there's John Huston to make a movie, Annie. But you have to get down there. They're closing the audition in an hour. Man, I just lead-footed it out there. Because it was out in the valley. It's like a 45-minute drive. And they're closing in an hour. I got to get it. I didn't care about the part at all. I didn't even know what the part was. They just said, he's auditioning, get down there. What's the part? They'll tell you when you get down there. Get down there. My agent. I got down there and yeah. He noticed there was something when I auditioned. Like I say, I didn't care if I got the job. I just wanted to be in his presence. I just wanted him. I just wanted to audition for him. That's all.
Hmm.
And when I auditioned for him, he saw something. He saw something that I didn't see. In other words, it was not something that I was trying to show or do. He and they all. The thing about directors that I like, great directors, is they're looking at something you're not. The you know I guess they got the big picture.
Hmm.
So whenever I would ask a question of any of them, they would come at me with something huge. They would go, "Oh, that," and then they would go, "Well, it's because of this," and then they would finally get down to, "So I have to do that."
Hmm.
So, and sometimes they just say, like Don Siegel on what was it, Escape from Alcatraz. He finally got fed up with me. I was asking him so many questions. He goes, "Well, why are you doing this? Why did you put the camera here? Why don't you put the camera there?" He said, "Larry, I don't know. I think I'm going to get fired." I mean, it just walked away. It just, okay, enough, Larry, enough. All right.
Yeah.
Because, but he noticed it. So his option was to put me on. So about a month, because I was there for 3 months. I mean, that's a long time to spend on one project, and that was the
Hmm.
only project I'd ever did that. So I mean, after a while, he was just putting me on all the time, and I got it. But then the downside was that the crew saw what he was doing. He was putting me on. So the
Hmm.
crew started to put me on. And then Clint Eastwood started to put me on because my name was Charley Butts. So they just, "Oh, he's the Butts of the film. You're the Butts." And so it was until finally I had to draw the line. I said, I got to get out of the barrel. I need to, just so, well, I'll tell you, it's a very short story, but after every shot, all my scenes with Clint Eastwood, and Don Siegel and Clint Eastwood had made movies before Escape from Alcatraz. They'd made about 4 or 5 movies together, so they knew
Yeah.
one another. They had, an offhand, just they
Connection.
know, yeah. So after each shot, okay, and cut. Don Siegel would come up to Clint Eastwood and he'd say, "Is that good for you, Clint?" He wouldn't yell it from the camera. He'd come over. He'd say, "How's that for you, Clint?" Clinton would say, well, a couple of things. He'd say, that was fine. He's okay, moving on, boom. And I was standing there every time because all my scenes are with him. And they would neither one would ever look at me even during this tete-a-tete. I would just have to stand there. And then they would talk, "You want to do it again?" "Yeah." I think, "Yeah." No, he would never want to do it again. Clint. He only likes to do it once. And if you want to do it again, you have to tell him. He would ask Don, he'd say, "Why are we doing this again?" And Don would say, "Well, the camera jiggled." It was always something technical, not
Yeah.
anything with Clint. It was always technical. Or
Hmm.
sometimes the camera jiggle went up the dolly, whatever. And then he would say, "Okay, let's do it again." Fine. And I would just stand there for about a month. I would just stand there like a bump on a log, my mom used to say. And finally, this is while he was putting me on, Don Siegel. So the crew started to see that they weren't paying any attention to me, that they were putting me on. So they started. I said, "I got to get out of the barrel." So this is how I did it. I would be up at night trying to figure out how to get back at Don Siegel or Clint Eastwood, and then the crew would follow. So it was one of those two that I had to get. And and about a week and a half later, after I just got fed up and thinking I got to get back at it, Don Siegel, I said to Don, they came up and he said, "How's that for you?" And Clint said, "That was fine. Let's move on." And I just piped up and I said, "Hey, I think I'd like to do it again. I think I can do it better." And Clint Eastwood just looked at me and said, "Yeah, well, I can't." And he walked away. And
Wow.
the crew just fell apart laughing. Well, that was my death knell. That
Mm.
was okay. I said, "Okay, it's over now. I got 2 more months, and the crew is not going to leave me alone now." They
Mm.
walked away. They laughed. They laughed so hard. Okay, and so that's when I would start to stay up at night thinking, what can I say? What can I do? And about 4 days after that, unconsciously, Clint Eastwood said what I said. He didn't even know he was saying it. Don Siegel came up to him and said, how's that for you? And Clint Eastwood, I swear, he said this. He said, you know, I'd like to do it better. I think I can do it. I think I can do it better. I'd like to do it again. And I said, well, I can't. And I walked away. No laughter, nothing. Dead in silence, man. And I'm walking away. And we're on tier 3. The tier 3 is 30 feet above the ground. You know, you go off the railing and then, or the other way is into the cell. So the scene was they had the camera hanging over the railing, shooting into the cell. And we were near the exit this way, you know, on the tier this way. We were near that. But that was blocked by equipment and all the crew waiting, you know, for the scene to stop. So the only other exit was way the hell down there, 100 feet down, the other end of the tier. And that's where I was walking. I didn't realize that's where I had to walk. And you know, I instinctively said, well, I can't. And I walked away. I didn't even think. It just came out of my mouth. I mean, that's how hard I was staying up at night. And I kept walking. And I thought, oh, my God, I'll never get there. And as I'm walking away and there's silence behind me, and I said, I don't care if I'm fired. I can't take the bullshit anymore. I'll be fired, fine. And the door is getting further and further away. I guess let me get to the door. And finally, as I finally did get to the door, I hear Clint say, hey, Larry, come on back, man. It's just like, hey, what are you doing? Come on. And then Don Siegel goes, yeah, come on back. Come on.
Yeah.
So I turned around and came back. Now, here's the great thing about making movies, and I've seen this in all the sets. It was never mentioned again. In other words, and I've seen big screw ups where thousands of dollars have been not wasted, but broken because it didn't work. Tell you what, in Escape from Alcatraz, one of the prisoners cuts off his hand in the shop, the painter, because the what do you call it? The head of the prison, the warden. The warden took away his paints, and he said, if I can't paint, I don't need my hands. So when he got to the shop, he got an axe, and he chops off his hand. Now, they made a fake arm. They made 2. Each one cost $2,000 to make. It looked real, and it had, when you cut through it, you could see it had tubes. It would spurt blood. So, I mean, it was a mechanical hand. Worked. They gave it to the actor. Don Siegel said to the actor, you want to cut off your own hand, you know, the fake hand, you want to do it? And they got the camera right down. They said, yeah, I want to cut it off. So he cut it off, and he was supposed to cut it off like here. Where's the camera? Here. And he cut it off here. He cut off these 3 fingers. Yeah. Which is totally wrong. On camera. $2,000 down the drain, and there was silence, like so the prop department they didn't know what to do, so they just brought out the second one. Well, when they brought out the second one, the actor, it was Robert Blossom, who has passed on now, but of course he felt awful, man. You know, I would, you know, and he was standing there with the axe. He was just frozen, like, oh my God, what have I done? And it's like, and they just brought it in. The prop department just put it down, walked away, silence. And even the director didn't know what to do. You know, said, well, and then Clint Eastwood, the director said, all right, who wants to cut off the hand? I mean, it was like that. Nobody wanted to do it because the tension. He said, all right, who wants to cut off the hand? And of course, there was bump, bump, bump. And then Clint Eastwood says, all right, I'll do it. Clint Eastwood did it. So he says, give me the axe. So Robert Blossom gives me the axe. He goes over and laying there. And now there's total silence. And not only that, the tension was amazing. And it's Clint Eastwood. And he goes, okay. And Clint's adrenaline was now pumping because he started to get real loud.
Mm-hmm.
He said, all right, I want this, we only got one shot. And he started directing, like, I want the camera here and I want that. And Don Siegel just stood back and he's just ordering people around. He was just very tense and excited, and not in a good way. And he says, okay, everybody ready? Okay. And 1, 2, 3, bam, perfect.
Yeah, 100%.
Clint Eastwood. Whoa, well, you just feel the tension just. But, I mean, now here's the thing. It was Robert Blossom's screw up. It was never mentioned again, not even 5 minutes later. Not that day and for the rest of the shoot. Never happened. The fuck up never happened. And I've noticed that on all the sets I've ever done, any kind of thing, anything that goes wrong, you don't. That's sacred. And I understand why. They're on a time schedule. Time is money. They're trying to make a story. That's dangerous to start screwing with something real that happened that you can't go back on. So they understand the psychology of that on all sets. Sometimes I screwed up, sometimes somebody else screwed up. It was dealt with in real time. And that's what I love about the crews. They're the greatest improvisers ever. They can fix jerry-rig anything. And I remember one motorcycle guy on a motorcycle movie I was doing, and the motorcycle wouldn't work. And they said, and nobody could fix it. And the time was running out. We're losing the light. And somebody said, call, I can't remember the guy's name. He had a nickname like Stinger or something like that. Call Stinger, So everybody shut down and took 10 minutes until Stinger arrived. They had to get him. And he called, and he fixed it. Boom, boom. And, well, he didn't fix it because somebody said that. He got boom, boom, and it worked.
All right.
He goes, he said, and so he walked around feeling like, walked away, and somebody came up to him and said, man, how did you fix that, man? That was so great. And he turned on him very seriously, and he said, I don't fix anything. I just get things to work. And he walked away. But that's what the crew does.
Yeah. You've got some probably mad stories from over the years on set.
Well, people say things that, or do things because they're on these big movies. Well, and anyway, you got to be professional because things are a matter of inches. Lighting, they got these little digital lighting things. I tell you, within a lumen, what the lighting, or something, breaks and you got to strap it up and get it because we got to shoot. So those are the kind of things that I love about making movies. Is when it's called for, the expertise that's brought in, and just boom, Stinger, bam. I don't fix things; I make them work. Boom.
Larry, before we wrap up today, and you've given me some amazing stories there, do you want to tell us about your website? I was checking it out earlier and what's on it, because I've seen there's pieces of art there and different things like that. So do you want to explain to us like what you can get on the website and what's on it?
Sure. Well, okay. If you go to thereallarryhankin.com, all one word, thereallarryhankin.com. I've got my, I'm a painter. See, these are my paintings. That's the opposite. That's one of my paintings. And here's the other painting. And
there it is.
There's the other painting. So I got these paintings and I made t-shirts out of them all. There's 40 of them. And I made about, I think 25 of them are on t-shirts. These two are on t-shirts. So I got t-shirts, I got my art, and then I got all my film shorts. Sally's Diner is on there, I believe. Yeah, it's got to be on there. And a lot of film shorts that I made, whenever I got enough money, so some of them are 1 minute, some of them are 5 minutes, some of them are 10 minutes. I got one that's an hour. I didn't make it in an hour. I just took an hour's worth of film shorts because I always make them on a timeline. They're
Mhm.
all about the same character, Emmett Demas. That's Emmett as a young man. No, there. That's Emmett Demas as a young man.
Mhm.
Now he's a homeless guy. But they're always on a timeline. So if I wanted to, I always thought if I wanted to paste them together, I could. And so one day I had enough money to pay an editor to paste them all together and kind of, edit and jiggle them.
Mhm.
So there's an hour one. So that's all the stuff that's on there. There's my biography. So yeah, it's just a nice place to go to hang for a second. I
Yes,
got
and
my book there. I wrote a book, so there's my book
mhm.
on there. And I'm writing another one right now
The
about.
loopholes dossier book is available to buy there as well.
Yeah, so that's actually Emmett Demas's The Homeless Man's storybook. It's
Mhm.
got it's got sometimes Jones is Emmett Demas as a young man. It's got that kid. He's 15, so it's
Mhm.
got his stories there as in the book. It's 10 stories, 10 fables of sometimes Jones. It's 10 fables about that kid right there.
Mhm.
And then there's a political satire and about a president who ran for president, won president, got impeached, got a life, and succeeded again. So that's that. And then there's the homeless story. It's the last 2 years of Emmett Demas's life.
Mhm.
That he wrote in these. Have you ever passed homeless people, and they're writing in books? I used to do that all the time on the streets in New York. I would pass by these guys writing in these, crackle covered school books.
Mhm.
And I always asked, I would, every once in a while I'd pass by, hey, can I read something? No, none of them ever showed me what they were writing.
Mhm.
And so I decided, in my dotage when I was like, had gray hair and was playing Emmett, the homeless guy, I thought, why doesn't Emmett write it so I can read it? So I
Mm.
had Emmett write what those guys were writing in a
Yeah.
notebook, in 3 notebooks that were handed to me, Larry, to publish.
Mhm.
So I got that's that I'm really proud of
Mhm.
that writing. I think it's great. Anyway, that's what's on
Yeah.
there.
Excellent, and thank you so much for catching up with me today. It was a real pleasure, man.
Oh, thank you, Maurice. It was a pleasure talking to you, man.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.